Councilor Kazanjian.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Lindsay.
Yep.
Councilor Raman Mercia, 3 present.
Thank you. This is a motion that was brought forward by the City Council on the arena, with the Arena Commission and also the Lowell Spinners for Lowell Park. We have Christine O'Connor, the City Solicitor, Dave Fenton, and also the City Manager here. There were some questions raised about the additional rent for the Dropkick Murphy concert. And I think if the other board members don't mind, we'll turn it over to the City Solicitor and also the Manager to get some, explain to us what's happening with the...
Perhaps if I may, Mr. Chairman, I think that certainly it's an excellent motion that was brought forward by the City Council in terms of asking questions regarding the current status of the Spinners in regards to this the concert that's taking place there. As I think I indicated it at the City Council meeting, I shared the similar concerns that this was a new event that was taking place at the ballpark, and wondered if in fact there were some opportunities for additional revenue or some revenue coming into the city. As you know, we really don't receive anything in terms of rent from the Spinners under the current contract. That contract is coming up for renegotiations, and we're going to be looking at that very seriously, because as I think I've made it quite clear publicly, that I think that there should be revenue coming into the city for the use of that public facility. But in any event, I went to the City Solicitor, and I'll turn it over to her and to Assistant Solicitor Dave Fenton to talk about the current contract. But essentially, what upon their review of that contract, and they looked at it in several different ways, it does not appear that it's their opinion, and I share that opinion now, that the city does not receive any revenue from this concert under the current contract. However, I will say that I have had ongoing discussions with Mr. Weber, Drew Weber of the Spinners, and we are looking at a number of different options that to help mitigate some of the costs associated with the concert, so that the city gets something, some type of mitigation, perhaps, from this taking place. But I will turn it over to the solicitor. The only thing I guess I would add to my comments is that this was discussed yesterday with the Arena Commission. As you know, the Arena Commission is the party that oversees the Little Asher Field as well as the Songus Arena, and all of these issues they were concerned about this as well, and had some preliminary talks a couple of weeks ago, and followed that up yesterday with the solicitor. So I'll turn it over to Christine, and she can walk you through the issues that she looked at.
As requested by the council, and prior to that, as the manager had indicated, when the city first became aware, unofficially I think, that there was going to be a concert, the manager had asked the law department to take a look at that to see what the lease provided in terms of any potential revenue sharing as a result of the concert. At that time, I had indicated to the manager that it didn't appear that the lease provided any provisions by which the city could attain some additional revenue sharing as the result of this event, other than a ball game. And sometime later, based on Dave Fenton's historical knowledge of some of the lease negotiations that had taken place, he also was asked to weigh in by the manager, and Dave can speak to that, but the conclusion was the same. As far as the opinion before you, again, as requested by the council, law department had taken a look and prepared an opinion on the narrow issue raised, and as is set forth in the opinion, the concerts are essentially an event that the Spinners can host as of right. During the course of this 10-year lease, this will be the first concert that is taking place at the park. But unlike other provisions, where they would need commission approval and would potentially negotiate and have to work out a procedure, this is not one of them. A couple other things of note. It was raised, I think, at the council meeting, that in the proposal by Diamond Action, which is the Spinners, they had indicated that if they were to have some extraordinary event, then there would be a percentage of that income that could potentially come to the city. And that specific provision was never really incorporated into the language, although the RFP is part of a contract by law, at least. We always make it a part of our contract. In this particular case, it would be difficult to argue that a concert would constitute an extraordinary event, since it's specifically detailed already as an event as of right in the lease. And secondly, as I note in there, there's no specific revenue sharing actually mentioned for these extraordinary events, just that an unidentified percentage, which again would be very difficult to then try to enforce. But that's in essence the opinion. I cited to a couple other sections of the lease agreement, which further indicates or supports, I think, that reading. So I don't know if you have any questions, or if Dave has anything he would want to add.
Yes, I would. I think you have to look back at the climate that existed when the lease was negotiated. Back in 1997, the concern of the council was, look, we have ongoing expenses for the operation of the arena. We have a deficit. We don't want that problem again. So a main concern was, at that time, was we don't want to have operating expenses. We don't have a deficit if we can possibly avoid it. So that was a prime concern. Concerts it was not an issue, really. I was not directly involved in the negotiations, but I certainly reviewed the lease. And as I say, it was just not a big issue. And of course, it's proven in history. This is the first one, really, that's come about. And here we are in the last year of the 10-year lease. But looking back, Peter Osella outlined to the then council, of course, the terms, because it had to come before the council, because you had to, or the then sitting council had to approve it, and you did in the end of 1997. But it was for a 10-year lease that the stadium would operate without city appropriations or budget deficit, at least in the first year. The Spinners were to act as general managers at no fee to the city, subject to a renewal by mutual agreement for years 2 and 10. And that after the first year of operation, we would look at the operational expenses to see how they really came about and what the amounts were. Yes, it provided specifically that the Spinners retain ticket advertising, concessions, and income to cover operating expenses and maintenance. An issue did arise within a couple of years about what was maintenance and what was capital improvements. The city, of course, is the owner of the stadium, and we had an obligation as owner to provide for capital improvements, to replace any major improvements that may falter or wear out. But as far as what was general maintenance, it was the Spinners' responsibility. Well, okay, they tried to say certain things were capital improvements or long-term repairs, and therefore shouldn't be the city. Well, we went through that, and that was a tough negotiation on what was capital improvements and what was maintenance. And we amended the lease but again, concerts were not an issue. Other events were really not an issue. And again, it came before the council, and the council voted it. So I submit that another concern was who was going to put up the scoreboard and who was going to pay for that, and the Spinners did. All of these things I mention only to point out the focus of the negotiations and of the lease was not concerts or other events, and they have not been a major issue. The focus was, we don't want to have a deficit, we don't want to have to pay operational expenses or run a deficit as we do for the arena. So I think you have to keep that in mind when you look at this lease and look at it at the time when it was negotiated. Clearly, as Chris has pointed out, concerts were a specific other use that was allowed. And as another use, they were entitled to not share, with the revenues. But again, just to be repetitious, it wasn't a major issue. So, yeah, now, going forward, sure, we're going to look at concerts, we're going to look at other events. But neither you, the council, nor we, the participants perhaps in the negotiation, it just wasn't there. So I hope you keep that in mind when you look at this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fenton. Michael, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions
Okay.
just yet.
Rodney, you
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't disagree, the climate, when we went into to building the arena or ballpark. Quite frankly, even up to the last couple of years, we built the ballpark presumably to play baseball, and I don't think it was until maybe even at Fenway Park, people, they started to decide, guess what, we can use this facility for something else, or maybe even, you look at the Gillette Stadium, they host weddings, they host all kinds of activity. That seems to be the new trend to make money in the off season. So I understand the point. I understand sort of the conditions that folks are operating. I think by the same token, no one anticipated when we were going in to build a ballpark. We had an alumni stadium, and it clearly was a nice venue. But as soon as you walk through the gates and you walk upstairs into the Lasher Stadium, Lasher Park, it's the atmosphere and the ambiance, or just a sense that you're in a first-class baseball stadium. Clearly has contributed to the success, not taking away anything from Mr. Weber and his ability to put out a good product. And I think this was mentioned at the at the council meeting, and probably the reason why we're concerned, and Councilor Kazanjian raised it. There's a fair amount of money that the Webbers are making, or Mr. Weber's making, as a result of the investment that the city has made. And we took a chance. The taxpayers took a chance. We have the risk, and naturally, I think we have to go to bat to see what we can get. I look at the sections, and I understand the opinion. I appreciate the opinion, but it just seems, even if we can get the concessions, there seems to be, that language I mentioned at the council meeting, shall negotiate. But I guess I would just have one question to the manager. When you spoke to Mr. Weber, what was his take? Clearly, this is it. There's no language in the contract, and I'm not. I'm a businessman. That's why we have contracts, and maybe we'll talk about it next time around. But when my contract expires at the end of this year, but at this point, there's no room for negotiation.
Well, I think there's several different issues. Let me just describe my conversation with Mr. Weber. It was a very positive conversation in terms of, in fact, it was one of the more positive conversations we've had regarding the lease. His interpretation, he did indicate that his interpretation of the lease was similar to the position that the conclusion that we've come to, but he did indicate that he's not interested in not being he's interested in being a good corporate citizen in terms of, if there's something that sort of can be worked out, he's amenable to talking about that as we go through the process. But what we focused on mostly was that, in the future, coming forward with the new lease, that this is something that we have to look at differently. That it can't be drafted up the same way. It can't have the same types of revenue distribution, where the city does not have any access to revenue from this operation. But it is a contract. It is a binding contract upon both parties, and it's certainly not good practice to try to, once we realize that it isn't working out for us quite as we had hoped, that we try to reopen it as a result of that. certainly doesn't reflect well on the city's, business relationships. But at the same time, we do recognize, and I think he does as well, that there are some costs associated with this that need to be covered. So, without saying that there's anything that's definite at this point in time, I think we're going to continue to have discussions, continue to have some conversations about this. But most of my from a personal standpoint, from as city manager, I think the important thing is to look forward into the next contract. Very frankly, the revenue that comes out of this concert that will be going to the Spinners is minimal compared to, and our share of that is even more minimal. The real focus has to be on putting together not tainting the RFP process in any way, and making sure that the next contract is more positive and beneficial for the city.
Can you explain, Mr. Manager, in the first or second paragraph, I suppose, the Spinners have represented that they will receive no ticket revenue from this event, but rather they'll share in the concession revenue. Who's going to make the money from the ticket revenue?
My understanding from the ticket revenue is that's going to be shared by the performers, the Dropkick Murphys, their promoter, and I know those two. Whether the Red Sox have any participation in that, I'm not sure.
Can we find that out? I mean, what are we talking in terms of ticket sales? I mean, there's, I don't know, approximately
you're talking
6,000 seats.
I think it's going to be more than that, because they're going to be sitting on the outfield as well.
About 10,000 people
So
on the
it's
field.
up to 10,000 people. It's probably in somewhere between 8 and 10,000 people, and I believe the tickets are $32 a piece. And so, the rough math is $300,000 roughly of revenue, gross revenue for the performance, or for the concert itself, minus any costs associated with lighting and sound equipment, and clearly the police details and other associated costs would come out of advertising. All that would come out of that. And then the concessions, we actually had a pretty good handle on that, because we had the Dropkick Murphys here at the arena last March. We had 2 shows, which equaled roughly, actually it's a little bit more than what will be at LeLasher. And I think they said that the total concessions were about $75,000, but that's the gross amount. Minus the costs of labor and the costs of the actual food and beverages that are being distributed or sold. You work down to I think $22,000.
Is that how things are done? And I'm not in the entertainment field, but it almost seems like we're sort of subleasing this out to whoever's producing it. Who did you say? Was the producer Law? Don Law or somebody else? I mean, you see, we're going at. I mean, it seems Mr. Weber's not making $320,000. He's just going to participate in the.
Right. I think this is an unusual.
And why was it negotiated? That was the only way that they were going to come here. The producer's going to, bring the Dropkick Murphys.
It appears that it was something that was worked out perhaps with the Red Sox, and because the Dropkick Murphys are going to be playing at all 3 ballparks that are affiliated with the Red Sox. So again, I think this is an unusual, I mean, certainly when they played at the Songus Arena, there was ticket revenue sharing. But that is not apparently the case here, at least that's what the Spinners have represented to the commission and to the city. So no, I mean, that's not, it's not a sublease type of thing going forward.
I have some other questions, Mr. Chairman, but I'll.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Attorney Fenton is correct. In 1997, the climate was much different than it is today. This is kind of like us discovering global warming all of a sudden. But is it safe to say that, we're not going to get a percentage, but certainly we talked about we step up services for this concert and other things. So we're enhancing the ability of these people to make money over this event like we do in a lot of cases. Are we ruling out in your talks, and I can't imagine having anything but a positive discussion with Mr. Weber, but are we ruling out any payment or goodwill payment in connection with this particular concert?
No, we're not ruling anything out. Again, Mr. Webb and I have had some discussions on this, and we agreed that we're going to talk again during this week. And I think, I want to stress that from the beginning, even when I received the opinion from the solicitor and asked for the next opinion, my position has always been that the city should continue to explore whether we have any rights. And in discussing with Mr. Weber, while we may not have any rights, and who knows, maybe we'll find something there, but in discussing with Mr. Weber, a goodwill payment or some type of mitigation payment is something that we explored, as well as some other type of donation to the gift to the city to offset some of the costs. So that certainly is out there as a possibility.
Okay, so that was my question. These discussions didn't just pertain to the upcoming contract, they pertain to this particular
right
function.
Because the upcoming contract is something that hopefully all these questions will be addressed, as well as the total revenue coming to the city. This is only for this particular concert, given that it is something new and unique that has not yet taken place, or hasn't taken place at this venue yet.
Okay. What seems to bother me is when Mr. Weber sent in his proposal for the spinners for the ballpark back in, was it 99?
97.
97. He states and also signs this, him and his wife, Joan, that in addition, if the applicant was fortunate enough to schedule some extraordinary events, it would seem appropriate to pass on the percentage of the income to the city. If I feel if he was a good corporate citizen to the city over here, which he does a great job, there's no question about it, but at least pass on something to the city, which he states he would, 10 years ago. Now it comes down to crunch time, and Mr. Weber's not there, and it's a shame that we have to come forward and bring this out and try to force him to do something. He should do that just on goodwill. That's what upsets me, and I still have some questions where. On Section 6, it states that, concerts and other events are allowed. But on Section 4, Paragraph 4, an additional rent, if other events are presented, we have an option to get a percentage of the ticket revenue and shall, on a case-by-case basis, get money for concessions and also other merchandise. That's what bothers me. And on one section, it says you're allowed to do concerts and events, but on another section, we're allowed to charge additional rent. So that's what, when I was looking through this, that's what brought to my attention, and that's why we brought it forward here at the City Council. They are allowed, but in another section, we're allowed to also charge additional rent.
Again, as I noted in the opinion, the lease unfortunately does have some bit of ambiguity to it, and questions could be raised, such as that. It's a legitimate question. Looking at that section, however, which we had looked at, it really seems to stem on extended beyond the term of the regular season, and that would be in keeping with the spinners having exclusive control over all ticket sales during the regular season as well as and prior to. So there have been instances, I believe, where they looked to do something beyond their regular season when they have exclusive jurisdiction over that park, subject to certain limitations, and that's how I would view the additional rent provision. And again, it's additional rent. It's not necessarily, a revenue sharing provision. It's entitled additional rent, and I think it's beyond what is being contemplated by the terms of the lease, which is you would have exclusive control over the ballpark during the course of the regular season and just prior to and into perhaps some sort of playoff.
Mr. Chairman, so I just want to jump in here. So if, just a hypothetical, if this was done after the conclusion of the Spinners season, could the city, can the city, through the Arena Commission or the manager, could we schedule a concert? Or I'm presuming Mr. Weber, who has exclusive rights, is going to say, wait a minute, I'm responsible for the maintenance of that field and taking care of the field and operation of the field pretty much year-round. Is that right? I mean, the city doesn't do anything in terms of maintaining it. I guess maybe I'm playing the devil's advocate. Isn't he going to say, well, wait a minute, you're going to bring a concert in, there's going to be 10,000 people, the field's going to get... Yeah, I mean, I know if I were maintaining it, I'd say, you're going to ruin the field, or, something's going to happen, who's going to be responsible for this? So, and is that what happened the last time? Was it outside of the season when a concert was trying to be scheduled? I know the particular band was not very, it wasn't well received for whatever music they play. And I do remember it being contentious on the floor of the council. But was that outside of the season, or was it again within?
I believe it was sometime in the spring, but I'm not sure. But that had to do with other. There were some other permitting concerns with respect to that concert and safety issues as well. It involved the mosh pit, I believe, and other types of things. And
so the reason for the denial or was
I believe,
public
it
safety?
was a while ago. I don't have a clear memory of exactly what had happened, but it seems to me there was there were those types of issues at play, which obviously don't exist with the Dropkick Murphys.
But going back to the other events, if this what if this took place after the Spinner season ended? Is that where the exclusive right ends, and then this additional rent or additional events would kick in?
Right. Well, part of what is negotiated through this lease was that the city and the university have the right to utilize this field, and the city or the university could host events at this facility as well. But those events, as you indicated, would have to take place after the season was over.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's in 6.5D. That's, they talk about concessions at landlords or university events and so forth. Clearly, with the permission of the Arena Commission, yes, the city could hold events there. Yeah, we'd be responsible to make sure the field got put back the way it was as well. But to address Councilor Kazanjian's mention of the proposal, the proposal is just that, it's an offer. And the specific language in the agreement, and Section 19, I believe it is, just a second here. Yeah, 19, the entire agreement. In other words, what it says is that unless there's something contained in this agreement, it's not binding. The lease constitutes the entire and complete agreement of the parties. All prior or contemporaneous agreements, understandings, arrangements, representations, negotiations, and so forth fall by the wayside unless it's in here. So, although it may have been an offer, it wasn't part of the agreement.
And I realize that, Attorney Fenton.
Okay.
I know it's just goodwill. It should be good faith. Just like what he wrote in his proposal, just to hold up what he wrote. That's. Yeah, so, and I also agreed with you back in 1997 when you guys, when the city wrote the contract, we were desperately in need for somebody for that ball field, and the contract was written to this way here to just get the Spinners in there and make it work, and there's no question about it. So, and the council, I'm sure we all feel the same way, and also the manager. We've got a concert coming to the city. Someone's going to make $450,000 gross, and the city's getting nothing. And it's actually going to cost us something because we have to supply the police details, the fire details, and things like that.
They do pay for the police details around the park.
Okay, but how about other areas? We got
There's other areas,
10,000 people coming to the city in a matter of 3-4 hours. I mean, we're going to have to beef our police up for that time period. So I'm sure it's going to cost us something. That's the thing that bothers me, and I'm sure it bothers everybody else on the council, and that's why we're here today. So what is our plan now? I know you're going to meet with Mr. Weber. Is he going to do anything, or?
Well, that sort of remains to be seen, and we've been having discussions through the over a period of time now, and you know, I'm optimistic that there will be something that will come of that. Again, that's something that's been ongoing. Again, I think our bigger view really needs to be the lease.
There's no question. There's no question about it. But just it gets us upset that, you know, like I said, somebody's coming to the city, and whether it's Mr. Weber or the Red Sox or Dropkick Murphy, somebody's walking out here with the city with over almost $500,000. And again, we're getting nothing. So that's what bothers us. So I guess we're going to have to wait till you have your conversation with Mr. Weber, and hopefully we can make it work and get something out of this.
Right.
Michael, you have any other questions? Rodney?
I guess you hit the nail on the head, because the receipts from the ballpark go into the Arena Enterprise Fund, correct?
That's correct.
So, and when I saw that, naturally, that fund runs a huge deficit, primarily as a result of the arena. And knowing that that's not Mr. Weber's issue at all whatsoever, but it's that's where we're coming from. There's also a capital improvement fund. Do we know what is in there and how that money is spent? I think I asked this at budget time a number of years ago. The $25,000, it goes into the enterprise fund, the capital, you know, presumably a capital account within that fund. How is that spent? Is that appropriated? I presume it's got to go through the council appropriate, or is authorized by the Arena Commission and then approved by
I believe that goes
by
into
the council? Can we
Perhaps
look into
solicit
that?
as an opinion on that. I believe it works almost as a revolving fund. I know it's been utilized. It was utilized for the improvements to the ballpark to deal with the handicap accessibility issue.
Right.
There is still money remaining in the account. I'm not sure of what the balance of that is. I do know that that money was used to do those improvements.
Okay. Last thing, the scoreboard. That was a good point, Mr. Fenton. We can't forget what contributions have been made. Do we have any idea what the cost of that scoreboard was? And I believe it was donated to. Well, it had to be donated to the city. Maybe we could look into that. I'd be just curious, but you know, you can understand, you know, our point or your point as well, that every other venue in the city, whether it's the Memorial Auditorium or you know, or the arena, there's a ticket, well, presumably a ticket revenue sharing. Is there a ticket revenue sharing? Well, there's actually a surcharge fee at the Memorial Auditorium, but there's not ticket revenue sharing, is there?
No, there's no. At some point, some additional money comes back to the city, but it's that's after the city pays the $400,000.
I guess the point is, you know, every other organization has to contribute something to the city, and this is just a tough one to swallow. But knowing that there's, you know, the contract has a lot of ambiguity in it, as included in the opinion. You know, like Councilor Kazan just said, someone's coming in, a promoter, and they're putting on a good event, and you know, the taxpayers, we invested in this ballpark, and it was. And I don't begrudge people for using the park for other things, but you know, everyone go. Well, I wasn't here, but you know, you go into this, you're going to spend money. We got money from the state and the city to play baseball, and they're capitalizing on, you know, on this event, which is a good thing for them. But it's just challenging. And of course, we don't want to, you know, cut off our relationship with Mr. Weber. If you can remember, I remember going to Alumni Field, and you know, there weren't a lot of people in the park, not because of the park, but it was. You know, AAA or minor league baseball wasn't very desirable at the time. So, and now, you know, Mr. Weber has put together, you know, the park is beautiful, and I think that's one of the major reasons people like to go. They feel like they're and they are in a first-class stadium. So, I've answered my questions. Thank you.
Fenton, did you have a question?
Well, I was just going to, in response to Councilor Elliott's concern with respect to the capital improvements. And they are both enterprise funds, both the Songus Arena and the stadium are enterprise funds as established by the statute that created them. So that perhaps answers your question as to where that money sits and how it gets used.
So at this point, I guess just to recap, we feel going forward, we're going to look at something, but with the existing language that's in the contract, there's little room, or little to no room for us to sort of bargain or negotiate, other than from a goodwill perspective of Mr. Weber, for any revenue sharing from this particular venue, this particular activity.
Just going to quickly add that in our meetings, the manager and I with the commission, even before the concert surfaced, these were some of the things that were being identified by members of the commission in terms of areas that are going to be looked at more carefully. This, along with many other things that have already been identified. And again, that was prior to the concert becoming an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we're all set. Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you.
We have a meeting.